Rosemary Brown lives in the upper story of a small house in a suburb of London. The outward appearance of her surroundings testifies to her modest standard of living. She has received hundreds of musical pieces, works bearing the characteristics of the most famous classical composers, which have elicited the surprise and interest of musical experts the world over. Most of it has remained unpublished. Rosemary Brown has brought the meaning of Shakespeare's words, "There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamed of in our philosophy," a great deal nearer to our understanding. But now, let Rosemary herself tell you about these astonishing experiences.
Mrs. Brown, this music which we've heard is very remarkable. Since when do you get it?
In 1963, I think Liszt was trying to get music to me, but he only managed then to get a few phrases across to me. But in 1964, he really began to work seriously with me.
Were you working at the time, or were you just a housewife?
Well, I was going out to work at the time because I had to support my children after my husband had died. But I was actually at home because I'd had an accident at work and broken some ribs. And the hospital had sent me home and said that I must rest. I mustn't do any heavy housework. And the time was passing very slowly because I couldn't do very much. And I decided to go to the old piano, which hadn't been touched for years. And I thought I would sit there and try to remember some little tune which I had learnt as a child. So I sat down and began to try to remember this tune. And then suddenly my hands were controlled by Liszt and began to play most beautiful music, very difficult music.
How did this experience strike you? Were you shocked, or were you rather used to having these psychic impressions? Have you not been psychic since childhood?
Yes, I seem to have been psychic from the time I was born. And perhaps we're all the same, only in some of us the psychic faculties are dormant. But mine were very active from an early age. And so when this happened, when Liszt began to contact me and transmit music to me, I wasn't at all frightened. It was a very interesting experience.
When you say you were psychic from early age, what did actually happen? How was it to be different from other people? Did you hear and see things that they couldn't see and hear?
Yes, but of course I thought at first that everybody was the same as myself, and I gradually found out that not everybody could see and hear in the same way. Although, of course, there are hundreds, perhaps thousands of people all over the world who can see and hear the spirit. I think often they keep very quiet about it in case people laugh at them.
And when you were still a child, you saw a composer whom you didn't know at the time, but he was Liszt, and he then said that he would come back to you one time.
Yes, that's right. When I was about 7 years old, I saw Liszt. He didn't give me his name, but he said he had been a pianist and a composer when he was in this world, and that when I grew up, he would come back to give me music.
Herr Professor Tenhaff, Sie sind von Haus aus Psychologe und haben sich auf Parapsychologie spezialisiert.
Professor Tenhaff, you are a psychologist, and you have specialized in parapsychology. May I ask the most important question first? Is Rosemary Brown mentally sane and healthy? Is she psychologically a normal human being?
Some years ago, I supervised a diagnostic and psychiatric examination of Rosemary Brown, and we came to the conclusion that she is, mentally and emotionally, a perfectly normal person.
Davon sind wir überzeugt. Wenn sie normal ist, besteht dann aber nicht trotzdem die Möglichkeit, dass sie...
If she's normal, Surely the possibility that she may get these pieces of music from her own subconscious cannot be ruled out. What is your opinion on this point?
Kein Sachverständiger auf dem Gebiet der Musik, habe aber mit Sachverständigen darüber gesprochen. Und wir kamen zu der Überzeugung, dass hier keine...
That's a difficult question. I'm no musical expert, but I have spoken to experts. And we agreed that it is not a case of the subconscious reproducing, and we agreed that it is not, and we agreed that it is not, and we agreed that it is not, and we agreed that there is no repetition, and Mrs. Brown herself, and Mrs. Brown herself, the melodies aren't her own. They do not